It's a quiet night at the Shady Oaks apartment complex, or so it seems. At precisely 2:17 a.m., the sound of gunfire shatters the stillness, sending shockwaves through the community. A 17-year-old armed with an arsenal has unleashed chaos, targeting innocent lives. As sirens wail in the distance, residents are unaware that they are in the crosshairs of a calculated ambush. Minutes later, police officers arrive on the scene, only to be met with a hail of bullets. Panic ensues as the reality of the situation sinks in. This is no ordinary incident. It's a deadly confrontation that will unfold over the next 8 hours. With lives at stake, the stakes couldn't be higher, and every second counts. As Officer Cody Needham approaches the parking lot, excitement morphs into dread. Gunfire erupts, and he's struck. "I think I've been shot," he gasps into the radio, his voice trembling. Nearby officers scramble for cover, realizing they're ensnared in a deadly trap. "Multiple shots fired at Shady Oaks," another officer shouts, urgency etched on his face. Officers quickly establish a perimeter, but the chaos is overwhelming. Civilians roam outside, blissfully unaware of the danger lurking just beyond their doors. Backup units flood the area, yet the situation remains dire. The shooters are hidden, their locations unknown, and civilians are scattered throughout the complex. Officer Christopher Deason and his team take positions behind a water pump, scanning the building for signs of movement. "This is an active shooter situation," Officer Deason relays, his heart racing. "We need to evacuate the civilians immediately." With every gunshot, fear grips the officers. The complexity of the scene intensifies. How many shooters are there? Are they barricaded, or are they moving freely? The clock is ticking, and the pressure mounts. "I see movement on the second floor," an officer yells. Shots ring out, aimed at an unsuspecting resident who steps outside. The horror deepens as the officers realize they're racing against time to save lives. The police devise a tactical plan. One group distracts the shooters while another moves in to evacuate civilians. "We can't let them stay exposed," Officer Deason insists, adrenaline coursing through him. Suddenly, a vehicle approaches, oblivious to the chaos. "Get down!" officers shout as gunfire erupts, striking the car. Inside, the driver screams for help, blood oozing from a leg wound. Officers rush to assist, applying a tourniquet in a race against time. "More civilians are coming," an officer cries out, panic in his voice. A cyclist pedals unwittingly into the danger zone, and officers sprint to pull him to safety just as shots ring out again. As dawn breaks, SWAT teams arrive, bringing much-needed reinforcements. The officers regroup, strategizing their next move. Drones hover overhead, providing real-time visuals of the building. They spot movement on the third floor. Could it be one of the shooters? "Prepare to breach," the commanding officer orders. The tension is palpable as they prepare to confront the unknown. The stakes are higher than ever. Every moment spent waiting could cost lives. Just before 10 a.m., after hours of standoff, the moment arrives. SWAT teams launch tear gas into the apartment, saturating the area. A figure appears at the window, and a sniper's bullet finds its mark, ending the chaos. The shooter, a young man barely out of his teens, is captured. As he is led away, the realization dawns on detectives. The initial 911 call reporting gunshots was made by the shooter himself, a calculated move to lure police into his deadly trap. But as the dust settles, unanswered questions linger. What drove this teenager to such horrific violence? And more disturbingly, could there be others involved in this deadly plot? As investigators delve deeper, a chilling revelation awaits, one that could change everything. As the sun rises over the Shady Oaks complex, the aftermath of chaos begins to unfold. The 17-year-old shooter, now in custody, has left a trail of questions that linger like a dark cloud over the community. What drove him to commit such an unthinkable act? As detectives sift through evidence and witness statements, a chilling narrative begins to emerge. The scene outside Shady Oaks is a stark contrast to the violence that erupted just hours before. Officers cordon off the area, securing it as a crime scene. Media outlets swarm, capturing every moment and speculating on the motives behind the attack. Residents, shaken and confused, gather to learn more about what transpired in their once peaceful neighborhood. Inside the interrogation room, the young shooter, Devin Wayland, sits, his demeanor a mix of defiance and resignation. He stares blankly at the wall, the weight of his actions starting to sink in. Detectives enter the room, determined to uncover the truth. "Devin," one officer begins, his tone steady yet firm, "we need to understand why you did this." Devin looks up, a flicker of anger in his eyes. "You think I wanted this? I didn't want to hurt anyone." His voice trembles, revealing cracks in his bravado. The officers exchange glances, recognizing that this interrogation will be pivotal. "What happened the night before?" they press. "What led you to this?" As Devin recounts his story, a troubling picture begins to form. He describes a party where tensions flared, fueled by alcohol and heated arguments. "I just wanted to talk politics," he insists, frustration bubbling to the surface. "But they didn't want to listen. They just saw me as a threat." Detectives listen intently, piecing together the fragmented narrative. Devin's feelings of isolation and anger seem to have festered, leading him to a dark decision. "I wanted them to see me. I wanted them to know I wasn't just some nobody." The detectives probe deeper, uncovering a history of mental health struggles. "Did you plan this?" they ask, their voices steady. Devin's response is revealing. "I didn't want to die, but I thought maybe if I shot at the police, they'd take me out." As the interrogation unfolds, the tension mounts. Devin's emotional turmoil becomes increasingly evident. "I thought if I fired a few shots, they'd come for me. I didn't think anyone would get hurt," he exclaims, tears welling in his eyes. Detectives share concerned glances, recognizing the complexity of his mental state. They know they're not just dealing with a criminal, they're confronting a young man in crisis. "But why target innocent people?" one detective presses. "Why not just call for help?" Devin's silence speaks volumes. The officers can see he's grappling with the weight of his choices, the reality of his actions crashing down around him. As they continue to unravel his story, the detectives discover that Devin had been influenced by a small but dangerous group that espoused extremist views. "They fed into my anger," he admits, shame washing over him. "But I didn't really mean to follow them. I just wanted to feel something, anything." The officers exchange worried looks. This revelation opens a new avenue of investigation. "Are there others involved?" they ask cautiously. Devin's response is chilling. "I don't know. Maybe. I didn't think it would go this far." With the interrogation nearing its end, the detectives realize that understanding Devin's motivations may help prevent future tragedies. They gather the evidence, preparing to delve deeper into his connections and the group that influenced him. Outside, the community begins to heal, but the scars of the event remain raw. Parents hold their children a little closer, and conversations about mental health and violence become urgent. As investigators dig deeper, they uncover disturbing links between Devin and a network of individuals harboring similar extremist beliefs. Just when it seems they have a handle on the situation, an anonymous tip comes in, a warning that suggests the threat is far from over. Could there be another attack planned? The lead detective wonders aloud. With time running out, the pressure mounts as they race against the clock to prevent a second tragedy. As the sun sets over Shady Oaks, a new urgency grips the investigators. The anonymous tip hints at a broader conspiracy, and the detectives know they're no longer just dealing with a lone shooter. Time is of the essence. Another attack could be imminent. The community is on edge, and the pressure intensifies as the clock ticks down. Inside the precinct, detectives gather around a table cluttered with evidence, photos, witness statements, and the growing list of names linked to Devin's online activities. Tension hangs in the air as they sift through the information, searching for connections that could lead them to potential threats. "Look at this," Detective Sarah Rivera points to a social media account. "These posts glorify violence and encourage followers to take action." Devin wasn't alone in his thoughts. The room falls silent as they process the implications. "We need to track these individuals down," the lead detective states firmly. "They could be planning something catastrophic." Just then, Officer Needham bursts in, his face pale. We've received reports of suspicious activity at a nearby warehouse. Multiple vehicles spotted. We think it could be the group Devin was connected to. The atmosphere shifts from tense to frantic. Let's move now, the lead detective commands. Officers rush to gear up, adrenaline surging as they prepare for what could be another life-or-death situation. Arriving at the warehouse, the team sets up a perimeter. They can see shadows moving inside, voices murmur, punctuated by the sound of metal clanging. The officers exchange nervous glances, knowing they're about to confront a potentially violent group. Let's get eyes on the inside, Detective Rivera suggests, motioning for a tactical unit to move in. They position themselves for a covert approach, hearts racing as they inch closer to the entrance. Peering through a crack in the door, they catch glimpses of a small gathering. Several young adults, including some known associates of Devin, huddle around a table covered in weapons and incendiary devices. The reality of the situation hits hard. This is more than just a meeting. It's a planning session for something catastrophic. On my count, the lead detective whispers, we go in and secure the area. We can't let them get away. 3, 2, 1, go! The officers burst into the warehouse, shouting commands to the suspects to drop their weapons. Confusion erupts as members of the group scramble, some reaching for firearms while others attempt to flee. The ensuing chaos is overwhelming, a cacophony of shouts, gunfire, and the sound of bodies hitting the ground. Officers engage in a tense standoff, their training kicking in as they navigate the life-threatening situation. In the midst of the chaos, Detective Rivera spots Devin's friends among the group. "Stop! We're not here to hurt you," she yells, trying to de-escalate the situation. "We just want to talk." Several suspects drop their weapons, surrendering in the face of overwhelming force. Others, however, resist, leading to a tense exchange of gunfire. As the dust settles, officers apprehend the ringleader, a young man named Tyler, who had been instrumental in encouraging Devin's violent actions. "Why did you do this?" Detective Rivera demands as they cuff him. "What were you planning?" Tyler smirks, his bravado intact. "You'll never understand. We're just getting started." The chilling words send a jolt through the team. They realize that while they've made significant progress, the threat is far from neutralized. Back at the precinct, the detectives analyze the evidence seized from the warehouse. They find detailed plans for an attack on a local event, possibly a concert where hundreds would gather. The realization sinks in. They were just moments away from a massacre. As they piece together the information, a sense of urgency fills the room. "We have to alert the event organizers and ramp up security," the lead detective insists. "We can't let this happen." Just as they begin to formulate a plan, a call comes in from the dispatch. "We've received reports of a suspicious vehicle parked near the concert venue. Multiple individuals matching the descriptions of the suspects are seen entering the area." Eyes widen in disbelief. "They're going to try it anyway," Detective Rivera exclaims. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, the team rushes to their vehicles, knowing that this time they must act quickly to prevent disaster. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the concert venue, tension electrifies the air. The police have just received a tip-off that a group of armed individuals is plotting an attack at the event. The lives of hundreds hang in the balance, and the clock is ticking. Will the officers arrive in time to prevent another tragedy? Inside the police vehicles, lights flash as they race toward the concert venue. Officers exchange urgent glances, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on them. "We need to secure the perimeter and evacuate as many people as possible," the lead detective instructs, his voice calm but firm despite the chaos unfolding in his mind. As they pull into the parking lot, the sounds of music and laughter fill the air, a stark contrast to the urgency of the moment. Officers jump into action, setting up a blockade to control the crowds. "Listen up. We need everyone to stay calm and exit the venue immediately," Officer Needham shouts over the din, his voice barely penetrating the festive atmosphere. As they begin to evacuate concert-goers, the officers spot a suspicious vehicle idling near the entrance. "There, that's the car from the tip-off," Detective Rivera points, adrenaline surging through her veins. The vehicle is a black van with tinted windows, and as they approach, they see figures moving inside. "Everyone, "Get back!" an officer yells, positioning himself as a shield between the crowd and the potential threat. "Call for backup," another officer shouts, heart pounding as he watches the figures inside the van make sudden movements. "On my mark, we're going to approach the vehicle," the lead detective orders. He signals to his team and they fan out, taking positions around the van. The tension is palpable. They can't afford to make a mistake. "Show me your hands," the lead detective commands, voice steady but commanding. The figures inside the van freeze momentarily, then the doors swing open. 3 young men emerge, hands raised but with defiant expressions. "We're just here for the concert," one of them yells, but the officers aren't convinced. "Step back, get on the ground," Officer Needham demands, his weapon drawn. The situation escalates as one of the suspects reaches for his waistband. "Don't move," the officer warns, but it's too late. In a split second, the suspect pulls out a firearm and chaos erupts. Gunfire erupts and officers dive for cover, returning fire in a desperate attempt to neutralize the threat. The crowd, initially oblivious to the danger, erupts into panic. People scream and scatter, creating a chaotic scene as they flee the venue. "Get the civilians out of here," the lead detective shouts, taking cover behind a nearby vehicle. As the bullets fly, his mind races. He needs to end this before more lives are lost. "Backup is on the way," Officer Needham yells, holding his position as he takes aim at the suspect who fired first. "We can't let them escape." The gunfight is intense, each officer aware that every shot fired could mean the difference between life and death for the innocent bystanders. After what feels like an eternity, additional police units arrive, quickly assessing the situation. Officers move in tandem, flanking the suspects and forcing them into a corner. "Drop your weapon," they command, their voices cutting through the chaos. The remaining suspects, realizing they are outmatched, throw their guns to the ground. The lead detective approaches cautiously, wary of any last-minute surprises. "You're done," he says, relief washing over him as he cuffs the first suspect. As the dust settles, the officers begin to check on the concert-goers, ensuring everyone is safe. "We need to get medical teams in here," one officer calls out as they survey the frantic crowd. With the situation under control, the lead detective takes a moment to breathe. They've thwarted another potential tragedy, but the reality of what could have happened looms large. "We need to interrogate these suspects right away," he tells his team, urgency in his voice. As officers secure the area, they begin to piece together the suspects' connections to Devin and the extremist group. "These guys were ready to do serious damage," Detective Rivera remarks, shaking her head. "We need to find out who else is involved." As they begin the interrogation, a chilling text message pops up on the lead detective's phone. It's from an unknown number. "You may have stopped them, but we're just getting started. Watch your back." The detective's heart races. This isn't just about one group anymore. It's a larger network threatening the community. As he looks around at his team, he knows that the battle is far from over. In the aftermath of the thwarted attack at the concert venue, a chilling message lingers in the air. The detectives now face an unsettling reality. The threat is more extensive than they ever imagined. As they dive deeper into the investigation, they must unravel a web of connections that stretches far beyond the initial suspects. Time is running out, and the community's safety hangs in the balance. Back at the precinct, the atmosphere is electric with urgency. Officers sift through the collected evidence, while detectives work tirelessly to identify the broader network behind the extremist actions. The lead detective gathers his team for a briefing. "We need to analyze every detail of the messages and communications recovered from the suspects," he begins, his tone serious. "This isn't just about stopping one attack. It's about dismantling a potential underground operation." The team nods in agreement, each member acutely aware of the stakes involved. Detective Rivera pulls up a digital map on the screen, highlighting locations linked to the suspects. "We've traced several online accounts connected to extremist groups. Some of these locations could be potential hotspots for further planning." Just as the team begins to strategize, a junior officer bursts in, breathless and wide-eyed. "Detectives, we've intercepted communications suggesting another gathering tonight at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. It could be where they plan their next attack." The news sends a ripple of urgency through the room. "We can't let them go through with it," the lead detective asserts, his mind racing. "We need to mobilize immediately." As officers gear up, the weight of the situation settles heavily on them. They know that this time they must be prepared for anything. Arriving at the warehouse, the detectives observe from a distance. The building looms ominously, shrouded in shadows as dim lights flicker inside. "We need to approach quietly," the lead detective instructs. "Let's not alert them until we have a clear view of what's happening." As they creep closer, they can hear voices, heated discussions mixed with laughter. Detective Rivera peers through a broken window, her heart racing as she takes in the scene. "They're armed," she whispers, her breath hitching. "We need to call for backup now." The officers take their positions, readying themselves for another potential confrontation. The tension is palpable. Every moment feels like a countdown to something catastrophic. With the backup units in place, the lead detective signals for action. "On my mark, we go in. Remember, our goal is to apprehend and gather intel, not just engage. 3, 2, 1, go." The officers burst into the warehouse, flashlights piercing the darkness as they shout commands. "Police, drop your weapons." Chaos erupts as the suspects scramble for their firearms, but this time the officers are ready. The ensuing gunfight is intense, echoes of gunfire reverberating through the abandoned space. Officers take cover as they work to subdue the suspects. "Get the civilians out," an officer shouts, realizing there are bystanders among the group. The chaos escalates as officers attempt to separate the suspects from innocent individuals caught in the crossfire. After a fierce exchange, the officers manage to subdue most of the suspects. The lead detective approaches the ringleader, a familiar face from the last encounter, one of Devin's associates. "Why are you doing this?" he demands, frustration boiling over. The ringleader sneers. "You think you can stop us? We have plans, and you're too late to stop what's coming." As backup secures the area, the officers begin to interrogate the captured suspects. With every question, they peel back layers of a conspiracy that reveals deeper connections, involving more individuals and more planned attacks. Back at the precinct, detectives analyze the information gathered from the warehouse. This isn't just a local issue, Detective Rivera realizes, her eyes widening. They're tied to a national network, one that's been planning multiple attacks across the country. The gravity of their discovery settles in the room. "We need to escalate this to federal authorities," the lead detective asserts. "This is bigger than we thought." As they prepare to share their findings with higher-ups, the team knows that they've only scratched the surface of a much larger problem. Suddenly, another officer bursts in, panic etched on his face. "We've just received a credible threat about a high-profile event happening tomorrow in the city. They plan to strike, targeting key figures in our community." The room erupts into a flurry of activity. "We have to act fast," the lead detective shouts, urgency filling the air. The clock is ticking and the team must race against time to prevent another tragedy. With the clock ticking down to the high-profile event, the stakes have never been higher. The detectives are racing against time to uncover the full extent of the threat against the community. As they prepare to confront a potentially deadly situation, every second counts, and the pressure mounts. Will they be able to thwart the impending attack before it's too late? Back in the precinct, the atmosphere is charged with urgency. Officers are mobilizing, coordinating with federal agencies to enhance security at the event. The lead detective stands at the front, addressing the gathered team. "We need every available unit on the ground at the event," he instructs. "Our goal is to secure the area and identify any potential threats. We cannot afford to let our guard down." Around them, officers check their gear, radios crackling with updates as they prepare for what lies ahead. Detective Rivera reviews the information they've gathered, determined to piece together the puzzle before time runs out. As the team gathers intel, a call comes through from a federal agent. "We've intercepted communication indicating that the group is planning to use explosives at the event. They're targeting key officials scheduled to attend." The revelation sends shockwaves through the room. "Explosives! We need to act immediately!" the lead detective exclaims, urgency in his voice. "We can't let them get anywhere near the venue." The team quickly formulates a plan, coordinating with local bomb squads and tactical units to ensure comprehensive coverage. Arriving at the event location, the detectives can feel the tension in the air. The venue is bustling with activity as attendees begin to arrive, blissfully unaware of the danger lurking just beyond the perimeter. "Set up checkpoints to screen all attendees," the lead detective orders, his heart racing. "We have to be thorough." As officers scan the crowds, Detective Rivera receives a tip from one of the informants. "I just got word that some of the suspects are among the event staff. We need to identify them before they can make a move." The team works quickly, scrutinizing every detail, questioning staff members while maintaining the facade of normalcy for the attendees. As the event kicks off, the atmosphere is electric, but tension simmers just below the surface. Suddenly, an officer spots a familiar face, a known associate of Devin, moving suspiciously through the crowd. "There, that's one of them," the officer radios in, pointing toward the individual who seems to be signaling to someone in the distance. "Move in," the lead detective commands. Officers converge, positioning themselves to intercept the suspect before he can act. "Stop right there." The suspect takes off, darting through the crowd, and chaos erupts as officers pursue him. "He's trying to get to the stage," someone shouts, realizing the potential threat. As the officers chase the suspect, the lead detective races against time, determined to prevent a catastrophe. "We need to secure the stage area," he yells, his legs pumping as he pushes through the crowd. With a surge of adrenaline, the officers corner the suspect near the stage, but he pulls out a small device, a detonator. "You'll never stop us," he yells defiantly. "Drop it," the lead detective commands, his heart pounding. The suspect hesitates, and in that moment the team springs into action, tackling him to the ground. The detonator clatters away, and chaos is narrowly averted. With the suspect in custody, the lead detective breathes a sigh of relief, but the reality of the situation remains grave. "We need to sweep the area for explosives," he insists, knowing that the threat isn't fully neutralized. Bomb squads move in, conducting thorough searches while officers maintain a secure perimeter. As they clear the area, the lead detective reflects on how close they came to disaster. "Thanks to everyone's quick actions, we've prevented a major tragedy today," he tells his team. "But we need to stay vigilant. This network is still out there." Just as they begin to relax, another call comes through the radio. "We've received reports of suspicious activity at a nearby location, another potential gathering of individuals linked to the extremist group." The lead detective's heart sinks. "We can't let them regroup. We're going in." With renewed determination, the team gears up for what could be their most dangerous confrontation yet. As the sun sets again over the city, the detectives find themselves on the brink of a new confrontation. The threat of the extremist group looms larger than ever, and the urgency to dismantle their operations intensifies. With the lives of many at stake, the team must act swiftly to prevent another impending attack. Will they be able to uncover the group's plans before it's too late? Back at the precinct, the atmosphere is charged with tension as officers gather to strategize. The lead detective stands at the front, outlining the latest intelligence. "We've got a new lead on another potential gathering site. This time it's an old factory on the outskirts of town." The room buzzes with energy as officers prepare to mobilize. Detective Rivera studies the map, pinpointing the location. "If they're meeting there, we need to approach carefully. They'll likely be armed and ready for anything." The urgency in the room escalates as the team gears up, checking their equipment and ensuring everyone is prepared for the confrontation ahead. As they arrive at the factory, the detectives can see shadows moving inside. "This is it," the lead detective whispers, the weight of the moment heavy on his shoulders. "We need to move in quietly and secure the perimeter." Officers fan out, stealthily approaching the building while maintaining communication. The air is thick with anticipation as they get closer, hearing muffled voices echoing from within. Detective Rivera motions for silence, straining to listen. "They're definitely planning something. We need to get inside and see what they're up to before they can execute their plans." With a nod from the lead detective, they prepare to breach the entrance. "On three," he says, adrenaline coursing through him. "1, 2, 3. The officers storm into the factory, commanding authority. "Police, everyone on the ground!" But the suspects are ready this time. Several individuals draw weapons, and a chaotic firefight ensues. "Get down!" an officer shouts as bullets fly. The team takes cover behind machinery, returning fire as they attempt to subdue the suspects. The intensity of the situation escalates, and the lead detective knows they must act fast to prevent chaos from spiraling out of control. As the gunfight rages on, the lead detective spots a group of suspects huddled around a table, frantically packing explosives into bags. "They're rigging something," he yells to his team. "We need to stop them." With a surge of adrenaline, he leads a charge towards the table, dodging gunfire as he shouts commands. "Cover me!" He lunges forward, tackling one of the suspects just as he reaches for a detonator. The struggle is fierce, and in the chaos, Detective Rivera manages to disarm another suspect who is trying to activate a timer. The team works in unison, responding to the threats around them as they fight to regain control of the situation. After a tense few moments, the officers manage to subdue most of the suspects, but one individual remains defiant. "You think you've won?" he sneers, eyes wild with anger. "This is just the beginning." The lead detective, breathing heavily, approaches him. "What do you mean?" he demands, determined to extract information. "There are others," the suspect replies, a sinister grin spreading across his face. "We're everywhere. You can't stop us." The chilling revelation sends a shiver down the detective's spine. They've uncovered a larger conspiracy, and the fight is far from over. As backup arrives to secure the area, the team begins to assess the damage and gather evidence. Bomb squads meticulously check for any remaining explosives, and the atmosphere is thick with tension and resolve. "Thanks to your quick actions, we've prevented another attack," the lead detective tells his team, but the weight of the suspect's words lingers in his mind. "However, we must remain vigilant. This network is more extensive than we thought." As they begin to process the suspects, the urgency to dismantle the entire operation becomes clear. They know they must act fast to prevent further attacks. Just as they start to breathe a sigh of relief, another call comes through from dispatch. "We've received information about a planned attack on a government building later this week. Multiple suspects have been spotted, gathering materials." The lead detective's heart races anew. "We can't let them get away with this. We need to mobilize immediately." The team quickly gathers their gear, knowing that the next few days could determine the safety of countless lives. If you believe in unraveling the truth and standing up for justice, we'd love your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment letting us know your thoughts on the investigation so far. Your voice matters. Together, we can strengthen our community. We'll be back with another investigation, right here on Unraveled Crime.